What's going on, everybody? It's Friday, June 14th, and this is another episode of Stoppage Time, your favorite weekly recap roundup show from me, sharing with you what's been on my mind all week, inspired mostly by the conversations that I get to have with the incredible people that we get to talk to in general in life and for our Entrepreneurial Thinkers podcast. So, what's on my mind this week? Art. Art is on my mind. And yes, I am recording from the back parking lot of my temporary apartment building because it is a crazy, noisy, busy day today here in Southern California, and there are no quiet places to record. So this is the best we're gonna do for the day. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying making it for you. So art is the topic that's been on my mind all week. It's kind of colored everything that I've looked at and consumed and thought about, and not just art in the broadest sense of the word, but art and kind of the intersection where art meets entrepreneurship, art and kind of the big A of art, and how I feel we're doing society a disservice by stripping it out of our educational systems. And then finally, just art and the artfulness and the artful creativity of a bunch of amazing friends and guests who are now and have been guests on the show and are now alumni of our show. So I want to highlight and amplify some of those people on a Friday afternoon for you all so that you can enjoy them as much as I enjoy them. So first things first, why art? Well, I was inspired mostly by a conversation that I got to have in a recent interview for an episode that is dropping on Entrepreneurial Thinkers this week. This most current episode, so it dropped on your favorite podcast platforms already. And it'll drop on our YouTube channel right here where you're watching this next Monday. And it is with Robert Newman III. And we follow his journey, incredible personal story. He's still a relatively young guy, but we followed his journey all the way from Black Wall Street, which is a particular neighborhood that has massive historical significance for our African-American community here in the United States, which is in Tulsa, which is where he grew up. And he learned and was exposed to art and commerce at the feet of his grandmother when he was like 4 or 5 years old, through to Wall Street in New York, where he went and worked in investment banking in the early stages of his career, and then to where we interviewed him for Entrepreneurial Thinkers, which is in his working artist studio in Harlem. And he not only tells us and shares his story, but he talks to me about kind of the nature of entrepreneurial thinking in the world of art and how art is such an integral part of our societies, of our economies, how it uplifts and can build community, and how it inspires and helps build individuals as well. So we dive into all of that. That was my fascination. I wanted to understand better how art can be and should be an integral part of our communities. And Robert is a literal working entrepreneurial artist and is an expert in this area. He serves on the boards of a number of different organizations which stole and developed the arts programs for communities all across the world, but particularly in New York City right now. And so I know you're going to enjoy the episode as much as we did making it, but it also led me to kind of keep thinking about something that I've thought about for years, which is this notion of arts in our educational system. Or, now we talk in education here in the US at least so much about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And in fact, the real way that educational curriculum and programming was when I grew up, it included an A. There was arts was mandated in our educational experiences, right? So I had to partake in arts programs and arts classes growing up. I had to partake in musical programs as much as I did physical education, all of which in the United States, in many ways and across many school districts, we have essentially stripped out of our systems. And the sad part is that in stripping them out of our systems, we've done this in service of what we believe to be this STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math approach to education and the workforce, which I believe just falsely has allowed us to fall into this narrative that the only viable careers, the only worthwhile contributions to this kind of capitalistic, commerce-oriented society that we've developed is to be a coder or to somehow, again, contribute kind of to the technology end of things, right? And this is not just my opinion, nor is it Robert's opinions, right? And Robert helps us understand a lot of studies. He talks about a lot of reference points as far as research material that's been done on these topics that prove that arts is essentially the fundamental part of any functioning, high-functioning society and high-functioning economy. So you don't just have to believe the two of us in our opinions that we think arts is cool and therefore everybody should participate in it, right? Instead, you can reference a number of these studies. So literally been 20 years worth of studies. We'll reference a couple of them in the show notes here that highlight the fact that we have when you tie arts back to education, you have increased attendance, you have higher graduation rates, you have higher grades, you have less incidents of delinquency and problems in classrooms. You have young people learning how to build relationships with others and kind of connectivity with their peers, connectivity with adults and teachers, greater self-confidence. There's one particular study I thought I'd reference from here at UCLA, which is right here in Los Angeles, not too far across town from me, that went back and did a multi-decade study of lower income students who grew up in arts, prominent schools where arts were emphasized versus lower income students from neighborhoods where arts were not emphasized in the curriculum of their schools. And across the board, those students from those disadvantaged neighborhoods who were exposed to the arts as parts of their curriculum growing up went to college more often, did better in college, graduated from college more often, wound up in career paths that had greater opportunity, greater expansion, greater potential growth in the careers, and wound up more politically engaged and active in their communities, and wound up at a higher level of volunteerism in the community. So the research is out there that proves what we know to be true, which is that arts education is a critical component. So we can't strip the big A, out of our societies and hope to have thriving economies and thriving communities. All right, so with this in mind, everything I looked at and kind of consumed this week got colored through the lens of art and artistic creativity. It actually inspired and reminded me that even what Deanna and I do with these podcasts for you is our version of art. This is my canvas. What I do in my writing is art. What I'll do on television is art. What we aspire to do in live events is going to be artistic in the sense that conversation is my gift. And so this is my own, tapping into my own artistic style. Deanna has a gift for production and editing and being able to weave these stories together so that I look good when these things are finished, and so that they're comprehensible to you and inspiring to you, right? So that lens consumed me all week. And it also reminded me that there are some incredible people, 4 in particular, that I want to share with you today, that have been on our show over the years in various formats. And I just think that their work in different media and different forms is not only just enjoyable, and I want you to share and enjoy it this weekend, but also just a great reminder that we all have these different types of artistic gifts inside of us. So first one, Courtney Cole, incredible, talented songwriter, performer, artist, now master yogi. But she just released her latest single called Untethered, which I listened to this morning on Spotify. So you can find her music on all the streaming platforms. We'll put her website here in the show notes so that you can find her, check it out, enjoy the range of music that she has created over her years, from early in her career from Nashville, opening up on the stages of Stagecoach, which is the biggest country music festival in the world for some of the biggest names in country music. So you're going to be able to enjoy her music. Secondly, in our panoply of talented guests we've had on the show over the years is Natasha Chandel. Natasha is, of course, if you listened to the show at any point last year, the wildly successful podcast host of Kinda Dating, the dating podcast, which is both incredibly insightful and really funny and entertaining, because everything she does is funny and entertaining, which is why you also can find her here in Los Angeles, or sometimes in Toronto, or sometimes in Spain, on the stages of the hottest, coolest comedy clubs in the neighborhood, where she is a thriving stand-up comic now. But she also has her roots in television writing. She successfully wrote for a show that had a run on Netflix, and then of course got her start with her own series that was a web series, which is still out there on YouTube to be enjoyed by all of us, called Mumbai Chopra. So again, we're going to put Natasha's website so you can find and follow all the things that she's done. Third on our list is the creativity from a little bit different angle, which is our most enjoyed, favorite, beloved creative conservationist, Asher J. Asher uses storytelling to help communities, organizations, movements to tell their stories of conservation and conservation of our planetary resources, of the animal kingdom, and us as a human species better. To activate movement, to activate responsiveness, to activate the community, right? And to hopefully leave our world a little bit better place than she found it. And she's been doing this for years. She's a literal National Geographic explorer. Again, we will put her website in there in the show notes so that you can find and follow her and connect with her on social media. She's an incredible social media follow, because she curates the lists of just all the most incredible stories about the animal kingdom, about us as a species, and about the planet and conservation that you could possibly imagine. So both wildly entertaining as well as super, super informative and important. Finally, and maybe the least well-known of the four that I'm mentioning, but I'm mentioning him because I think he's the most like the rest of us, is Jose Ochoa, who's just a really talented, very successful businessman from El Paso in Texas, grew up in Juarez on the other side of the border in Mexico, turned his life story into a book, which is out on Amazon and you can buy it. I've bought it. It's incredibly enjoyable. We've had him on our podcast to talk about it before. It's called Get in the Ring. And then he's expanded that now to include now a Spanish language podcast where he interviews other people about their incredible life journeys, leadership stories, etc., called Súbete al Ring. So again, you can find Jose. We'll put his website. We'll put the website to the book so you can find it, buy it. My hope is that this just brings you a little bit of joy into your stoppage time. You know, every week I end encouraging you to find joy, love, peace, happiness. And then this week I'm going to encourage you to find some artistic creativity in your stoppage time, because you have it in you if I have it in me. That's the stoppage time from the back of my apartment complex today here in sunny, beautiful, summery Los Angeles. I wish you all the best, and we'll see you right back here next week.